And welcome back. Today we are flying out the Do-335A1, the 4.3 version, with two 15mm as well as the MK103. And the idea of this video was that I was gonna take this out for one game if I don't die in the first head-on at least. And I can show you my thought process when I don't actually know a plane. I have never flown a singular Do-335 prior to making this video. I have no idea how it handles, I have no idea what it does, I just know it from fighting it. But of course, basing your opinion from fighting the average player in this game doesn't get you very far. It will get you somewhere, and that's definitely a good starting point. But if you really want to get better at the knowledge of this game, you'll have to actually fly the plane yourself or ask people that are actually reputable, which are also pretty far and few between. That's the first shot I ever took with a Douanier. Pretty good start. But I might not know this plane. I do know that I missed the fuselage repair, the radiator, as well as I think it's the wing repair. And I can kind of feel what this plane is doing. I have an airspan, I know that it's fast and it doesn't turn very well. And I also know that I have, of course, pretty good firepower in the nose. So I see a Key 43. A plane that I don't really want to deal with in this thing, because I know that if he's paying attention, if he has a little bit of speed, I am never going to be hitting him. So we start off this engagement by simply going head on with Mr. Henry. We shoot a few rounds at him. He dodges, just as predicted. We try to pull in and he just pulls over our nose the second we squeeze the trigger. And I'm not gonna turn with him, there is no need. I know the Key 43. Most of you guys probably know Spitfires as well as Japanese planes in general. And if you know your plane is an absolute shit brick, you probably shouldn't try to turn around for it. We have two P-51s here, which are relatively low, because we have an airspan and we are able to rush in. So what do? We lead the first P-51 and then we just switch to the second guy. So we shoot a little bit, completely miss, and we try to pull back in, just a little bit more bricky than I expected, only managed to get a singular hit in, and we rupture his water tank. It doesn't really do an awful lot, but hey, in the long run he's at least gonna cook his engine, because P-51s or inline engines for that matter in general don't really like getting their cooling busted up. Most planes don't, but you get what I'm saying. Right now, what can I do? I have a Spitfire that's lurking, he's now turned around. I have the Key 43 as well as a P-51 that are all kind of bunched up together. And I can fly away for the entirety of this match and not learn what this plane is like. Or I just throw myself in there and see, well, in what sense it kind of behaves. I'm gonna wait for one of them to break off. Yes, the chat is still active because this is, well, relatively old footage. But I've been sitting on this for quite a while. So what do? We do a little check here. I see that he's a low level player. Of course, doesn't mean necessarily that he's bad, but it does mean that he probably will make, even if a slight one, likely to make a mistake. And making mistakes when the enemy is actually paying attention is very often an absolute death sentence. Making mistakes is of course a good thing, because you need to start learning and you need to understand why did you die. Why did the Key 43 die? Because he dodged the head-on poorly. If he had dodged it properly, or if he had not taken it altogether, he would have been fine, because I cannot physically touch him if he flies it right and has a little bit of speed. So I hope if you are watching this, I hope that you are watching this and you can see this, do not commit that long in the head-on when you have a fragile and slow plane. If you can see that he cannot physically pull in anymore, go ahead, do it. But when your plane is made out of paper and the enemy is a tank with a lot of guns in the nose, you do not want to take that, and you want to take extra caution. Triple caution, as someone said to Samir. So we set him on fire, he's burning up, he's extremely slow right now and he can't really do anything. He is completely crippled, and I'm gonna do this for exactly one turn, because I know that this Key 43 with this kind of damage is going to struggle a little bit, and I know that he is, well, a low level player. So I was expecting him to turn the wrong way. He does exactly that. We put him on fire again, we set him on fire again, and this time he actually manages to burn up. And now what do we want to do? The radiator is being very problematic right now, mostly because, well, I don't actually have it unlocked. And I'm noticing that this thing does overheat quite damn badly, at least on this map, without it. Of course, most plane stock are pretty shit. This one is no exception. Right now I cannot really do anything to this Spitfire, so I'm just gonna be keeping my altitude, cruising along in the hope that he is gonna dive on me. He's actually gonna go for the 190 and he's gonna burn a little bit of speed. I now managed to get a crit on the P-51 who we managed to kill the water off at the opening stages of the match. But right now we have a little bit of downtime. I can talk about what I'm doing with the P-51 here as well as the Spitfire, but I'm just trying to stay fast and get in position. Not much to talk about there. A lot of guys ask me, how do I fly X-plane? How do I fly Y-plane stock? Or how do I fly something like the FR-47 Seafire? Some planes are just objectively bad and there is no real advantage that you have. Right now, do I have an advantage on the P-51D? Luckily yes, because it's a D20. Say I am fighting the P-51 D-30. Do I have a real, actual, tangible advantage? Not really. You might be a little bit faster, but in the end, he is almost as fast. He has a better climb rate, he is more maneuverable, and he has very far-reaching guns. He is my absolute piss-poor aim because I have no idea where these guns go. He's not even moving. Yes, it happens. If you don't know a plane, it is not a problem if you don't know how to aim it. I of course say that because I'm coping right now, but you can apply this logic to yourself. These 15mm are also just piss poor. But how do you get around filling in the blanks, knowing what your plane behaves like? I recommend getting a plane like a baseline 109. Let's take the 109 G2 Tropical and compare it to the other planes that you might come across. You have a Yak-3, you have a Spitfire, and you have something like the P-47 D-25. And these planes are all in the same realm of capabilities. The main 2 points are, do I want to run from it or do I want to dogfight it? These are pretty basic and simple to answer. If you have flown a Spitfire, you know that it's good at turning, but then you come across a Japanese plane like the A6M5 Go. Do you still want to dogfight it? The answer is no, because the planes have shifted. Your strength no longer is your main strength. You are still somewhat of a turn fighter. But you are now faster and are less maneuverable, so do you still want to start turn fighting? Of course you don't. And once you start filling in these blanks, you start to paint a bigger picture. I know this seems pretty daunting. You do not need to know every plane in the game. You are not a walking aircraft compendium or a wiki page. Talk about the wiki page. Don't look up the wiki page for War Thunder. It's full of absolute horseshit. Please do not try to rely on it. Ask someone as reputable instead. So what do I advise? Fly something like a 109, maybe a Yak-3. It's a little bit of that middle ground. And then you can start filling in the blanks. You can fly the Yak-3 or the G2 Trop. That's a good example. Very middle ground, pretty damn decent. But it has a lot of flaws and it has a lot of things that it does worse and other things that it does better than the enemy. And this makes it so that every plane you run into a P-51, you think to yourself, oh, that's a D-20, I have more engine power, he might outrun me, but I will win the dogfight. You then run into a Spitfire, you think, oh, I'm a little bit faster, I have better energy retention, better high altitude performance, but he turns better. So I want to be a little bit careful around his guns. And I can go on for this for a very long time. And I'm of course talking about lower tier Spitfires, because Griffin Spits absolutely eat up a 109. But that's beside the point. If you are curious about this kind of thing, I will make an actual full video on it, because I can make this pretty elaborate. I can make this 15 to 20 minutes long if I wanted to. And I don't have to jam pack it into this very short segment here. But right now I have a plane with very little advantages over the P-51 D-20. Luckily, this game is pretty dynamic and you can make situations work by being at an advantage. This doesn't mean you have to climb to 20 kilometers, but a P-51 that's thinking about pitching up for you, wasting time and energy to actually look up for you, even if he doesn't completely commit, is gonna bleed too much speed to actually get away with it. We then go straight up, because I'm going about 700 kilometers an hour in the dive, and the Zero doesn't even go 600 in a straight line. So we just go up, we make him stall out, we drop directly on top of him, and we are very easily gonna shoot him down. Hope it was helpful. Let me know what you think about a full video on the topic at hand. But until then, see you in the next one.